To the fore this morning. The numbers you can contact us at are, I'll start with our local ones today, 466-0989 or 662-0989. In the U.S., 305-921-4619, 718-285-6984. And in the U.K., you can reach us at 0333-440065. Quinn, good morning again, and how are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. Well, just a bit of a slight flu, but other than that, I'm okay.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I heard something is going around. But I'm going to try my best to stay
Not
out
to
of
get
that
it.
zone. Exactly, not to get it at all. There was a story that I was supposed to get to for days now. It's a local story. So I'm going to touch on it right away before we begin this morning, before I do anything else. So here goes. Come on, come up. Every time you need something to be up, it doesn't come up. So it says, government establishes dedicated confidential email address for dash cam footage submission to strengthen road safety. And it says, in a significant move to enhance the road safety enforcement, the government of St. Kitts and Nevis has established a dedicated email address. That email address is roadsafety@gov.kn. Once again, it's roadsafety@gov.kn to facilitate the confidential public submissions of dashcam footage capturing traffic violations. This initiative follows the enactment of the Vehicles and Road Traffic Amendment Act 2025, which empowers residents to play a more active role in enforcing traffic laws. The licensing authority designated road safety at .gov.kn email provides a secure and structured channel for submitting video evidence of road infractions. To ensure the integrity of submissions, individuals may choose to remain anonymous during court proceedings with a structured legal framework allowing for the confidential submission of video evidence. So it's working. So for those folks who will continue to violate, once somebody has a dash cam, you will be caught and you will be reported. Remember, nowhere is far in St. Kitts. If you're going to be late, just apologize and try your best not to be late again. I know some of us are very habitual at being late. We got to cut it out and do better. So no rushing. Let's be courteous. Let's be kind. Let's practice defensive driving. Not defensive driving as to block the other driver, but driving where you drive not only for yourself, but you drive for others. So, Quinn, you got a dash cam?
I don't drive. I that's one thing I never learned to do.
You don't
never
what?
did learn. No. I grew up with my mother had cars, and when I was very young, I dabbled a bit, but I was too much into books and science, and I never. Unlike most of the young guys who wanted a car so they could get the girls, you know.
You got your girl walking. Oh boy. I see protests continue in Dominica, and this article comes from Loop News. The previous article came from SKNIS. And it says Dominica, another protest on the way after a day of protest in Roseau. So this was yesterday. And it says Dominica is witnessing another day of protest action, this time in the western community of Salisbury, following a day of demonstration that developed into violence in Roseau. Protesters came out against three controversial electoral bills which were passed in the House of Parliament, the Electoral Reform Coalition, and members of the United Workers' Party, including political leader Dr. Thomas Fontaine, had called on citizens to reject the bills, claiming they represent an unsatisfactory attempt, at electoral reform. Police had warned that no permission had been sought for the demonstration, rendering it unlawful. They deployed tear gas and rubber bullets as protesters attempted to breach barriers surrounding the Parliament building on Victoria Street in Roseau, while protesters hurled missiles. You see, I was questioning whether they were, because I sensed they were firing something, but I knew it could have been because I know they have the guns to fire the tear gas.
Yeah.
But I sensed they were firing something else. Last evening, former opposition leader, excuse me, former member of parliament for Salisbury and United Workers' Party member Hector John went live on Facebook to show law enforcement officers stationed outside his home. In the video, John told his online audience that police officers are attempting to force their way into his residence, stating that they had a warrant for both a search of his premises and for his arrest. However, as seen in the footage, the police eventually left without entering John's home. This morning, villagers in Salisbury's that was yesterday morning, blocked the EO LeBlanc highway using white goods and tires, obstructing the flow of traffic to and from the capital. Salisbury is approximately half an hour from Roseau. The protesters are believed to be demonstrating in response to events outside John's residence the previous evening. Yesterday afternoon, acting police chief Davison Valerie called on Salisbury residents to avoid unnecessary confrontations with law enforcement and to remove the blockade from the highway. He emphasized that protesters' actions were unlawful. Those responsible for blocking the road must make an effort to immediately unblock the road so as to allow free access to the people of Dominica, Valerie urged. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police will use all necessary legal means to have the road unblocked and remain accessible, he said. By late afternoon, dozens of police officers dressed in riot gear were seen patrolling the streets of Salisbury as the highway remained blocked. Wow. So the people are still protesting over there.
Yeah. Well, it is their right to do so, even though it says that they won't give them permission, you know. I don't know. Sometimes people feel they ask for permission and they don't get it, and they feel they need to agitate. So I don't know.
Boy. Listen.
Because I feel that the government, the incumbent, sometimes uses that to stop people from, expressing their disillusion with whatever is happening. They might decide you can or you cannot. Sometimes they say you can, but sometimes when you want to, if they feel it is going to be a big crowd and it's not going to look good for them, then they deny it. And people feel...
Exactly. So why would you go and ask the powers that be if you're going to protest?
Because the powers that be demand that you do that. They say
but a protest is a protest.
That's how our democracy is playing out, you know. The system says if you want to protest, ask for permission. Some of it we can understand because it depends on where you want to protest and how the traffic is and so on and so forth. They might want to, I don't know. But so it is. The system says, ask me if you want to protest, and if the system feels the numbers are going to be very, very large and the rest of the world is going to see that people are not comfortable with the decisions they're making, they may deny. Oftentimes, though, it seems they allow it, but whenever it's convenient for them, they can deny.
So in the U.S., because I never knew you had to ask permission to demonstrate. I recently learned that. I thought if you're going to demonstrate, this is something that you just go do because they won't be expecting you to demonstrate, right?
Yeah.
I understand if you're going to use the road for a march, whatever, you ask permission because, of course, as you rightfully say, traffic can be blocked, et cetera, et cetera. But I did not know you need permission. And as you said, when they're going to understand the magnitude of what we're about to do or what they're going to stop us. So either way, some of us aren't going to be stopped. We're still going to go out on the road and protest.
Yeah.
But what's the point? Why do I need to ask if you're going to stop me? Especially if I don't intend to burn buildings and do whatever. I just need to protest. I just need you to understand. The young lady that was murdered in Antigua the other day, the little girl, Chantal. Those persons then asked the police commissioner to picket in front of headquarters. They just went with their signs and he came out eventually.
It was a spontaneous thing.
Yes, so I don't understand what is the point.
I think I agree with you. I think it should be a spontaneous thing. Even though I reiterate that it depends on where you want to hold it and the traffic and so on and so forth. But as long as it's going to be a peaceful thing, and And sometimes too, it is the denial of the right of the people to protest that gets them so angry that when they
That they
do
do extra
protest, they
things.
yeah they,
Yep.
they go overboard.
Because let's say we wanted to go in front of the government headquarters. You really think the police is going to give us any permission to go
No.
protest in front there? Exactly. So I just think a protest should be a protest. It should be a peaceful protest. And yeah, we don't cause harm to anyone. We just make our points known. And as we say, we're disgruntled. This is what we're disgruntled about here.
Those
Deal with it.
those are the things that it seems our leaders have learned from colonialism.
You sound like I heard was it Rascalangi last night on a program? And that's the first thing he said. So you sound like
Yeah.
him there.
They've
Yeah.
learned what
Suppress us.
what they've learned what the colonialists have done to us, and unfortunately they use it against their own people to curtail certain things that they don't want to happen.
But how would they know what's happening, and how would they know how the people are feeling? How would they know our issues? How would they know that we're disgruntled? How would they know that we're not pleased? And
Mind you, when they are in opposition, they are 100% for any
with you.
any protest. But the problem is when they get
When the
into
shoe is on the other foot.
when they get into the seat of authority now, they want to stifle your right to.
Almost always the case. Almost always the case. I saw some news also from PM Brown, where, well, it's from Point Broadcasting Network, and that's in Antigua. And it was written by editorial staff. News from yesterday. It says the government has made a decision to restructure the payment system involving members of the Cuban Medical Brigade, whose presence provide a substantial support for the local healthcare system. Now, before we go into this, do you think it's right that, according to reports, it's alleged that some governments give some of the monies to Cuba and some of the monies to the
workers? Yeah.
So, as I heard Prime Minister Gonzalez said, and quote, they got a free education, so there's nothing wrong with putting back some money into the kitty.
Yeah.
Do you think that is the correct way to go? Or should they just, since it's free education, should they just, I don't know. How should I put it? I do know. They have a system where you have to pay them back in a certain amount of years. Like, it's a subsidy.
Yeah.
So you willingly pay them back. And if you don't pay them back, we all know there's consequences to that.
What are the consequences?
I was just going to say I don't wish for any harsh ones. Basically, if you want to say, tell them come back to Cuba and work.
Yeah.
So you definitely know you could take the little pittance out of the money they're going to get over there. That would be my harshest thing, because I don't want anybody going to jail or suffering or not getting monies when they go back home. That's not nice.
Well, have we heard much about that? Have we heard that?
It's only now we are learning that may be the system. Because as I said, that's what the Honorable Ralph Gonzalez had said. There's nothing wrong with putting back something into it. So to me, that suggests that that's what was happening. And the fact that this says now the decision comes in response to the threat by the Trump administration to declare the Cuban Medical Brigade as equivalent to human trafficking. The Antigua and Barbuda government reiterates that its payment method and the contractual arrangement which the government of Cuba and Antigua and Barbuda has entered into do not support this view. So nevertheless, the cabinet has made a decision to pay the Cuban Medical Brigade of doctors and nurses 100% of the contractual amount, and to each doctor or nurse receive the entire payment from the Antigua and Barbuda government. Statutory deductions will also be made from each pay package, as is done for every worker in Antigua and Barbuda.
We have a caller.
Okay, caller, good morning. You're live on Island T.
Good morning to everybody. Greetings once more in the name of Jesus Christ, the only Savior of sinners from their sins and from hell, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. Now, first of all, I would like to say it's very interesting that, politicians just use the words, you're getting free healthcare, you're getting free education and that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And yet, And yet, when they go on a tax drive, they turn around and they tell you, well, the tax is what you give. The tax is what the tax is what you use to pay for whatever you're getting. The same education, the same hospital. You know, to encourage you to pay your tax and be honest with your tax submissions. You know, when they're on the tax drive, they tell you, well, your taxes is what goes to pay for all of these things. You know, so like I always say, government give nobody a free lunch. There's no such thing as a government free lunch. Nowhere in this world. Everything government do is always at a cost, ultimately to the taxpayer.
Yeah.
Secondly, as you all were mentioning about protests, well, I think I have heard, at least we think it is concerned. If it is just one person going to protest, I don't think you need any permission from the police. I think the permission, from what I've heard, I think the permission is for like if a group of people, maybe over a certain size or whatever, then you might need permission. But if it is one person, I think I have heard you do not need any permission for at least one person protesting.
Well, that is
One person?
That is understandable, because if you have one or two, I've heard politicians go on the platform on the rostrum and say, well, you know, they came out with their vast number of 3. You understand?
And you know they're being funny, right?
You
Exactly. They're dropping down words, as we would say here.
Funny. I think they're serious.
Really, with 3? 3 can't be serious, caller.
Trust me, don't put anything past the politicians. Never put anything past
I know, but
the politicians.
I still do not understand why we cannot have a peaceful, unplanned protest. Because if you're going to plan, they're going to shut you. If they know what you're planning, what type of protest, blah, 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 they're going to shut you down.
Sometimes it's not even the type of protest, it's the numbers that they fear, because the numbers is what make
having knowledge is better than not having knowledge. See how many disgruntled persons you have to appease than to not know and lose in your next election.
That is how you and I feel, but the politicians, they see it completely differently. Like I said, when they are in opposition, they don't mind the number. As a matter of fact, the bigger the crowd, the better for them. But when they are in the incumbent seat, the smaller the crowd, the better for them.
Let me ask Greg, because you might know, because I was never following these things before, and I'm not sure if Quinn was following it. When they had our Labour Party and persons from the PAM party that marched against the administration that was in, which was the Orange Party, the PLP party, were they given permission for that demonstration, or what did they just decide we are going to protest, we're going to let them know we're disgruntled?
Yeah, honestly, I really don't know the answer for that one. So McMahon and Miss Henry, I think would be a better person to ask. But let me say this. I'm going to show you how interesting politicians are. In 1993, when they had the protests, Labour protesting against the PAM government, the PAM government brought in the, what they call the SSR? What that they call?
RSS.
Right. The PAM government brought in the RSS to deal with the
internal problem. Yeah.
Right. Now the Labour politicians were cussing the RSS and PAM bringing them in. Yet when Labour got in power, they brought in the same RSS to deal with some situation in here in St. Kitts. So it was wrong for PAM to bring them in, but when they got into power, it was right to bring back in the same RSS for their
what they
agenda or whatever.
Problems, yeah.
When the shoes is on the other foot, it's always different.
Yeah, personally, I don't agree with the RSS issue. I don't really agree with the RSS. I think countries should really deal with their own situation, and if people.
But what if they can't handle it by themselves? That's when the RSS should come into play.
I still don't believe that.
Okay.
Find somewhere, but because another reason why is that if a country have a corrupt government and the people want to get them out by force, okay, because that country government is very corrupt, messing with the elections and everything. If the people come out to get rid of them by force, that government gonna call in the same RSS to mess with the people them decision.
Yeah.
You know. So personally, I don't agree with the RSS. But I brought up this situation in 1993 to show you how politicians think. You know, it is bad when you do it, but it is good when I do it.
Yeah.
You know. Anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you for your contribution,
Let's
caller.
take a bit of a break, and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
Do you want to know what's happening in sport? Tune in to On the Ball, a weekly tour show which is on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday from 7 to 9 p.m. with me, your host, Troy Biff Mills. We will keep you on the ball with our variety of guests and, of course, your calls, discussing the facts and the stats and sharing your opinions. Get on the ball and stay on the ball by tuning into On the Ball with Troy Biff Mills on WINN FM 98.9 every Tuesday night from 7 to 9 p.m. and also on Facebook and YouTube. Be on the ball.
Feeling lucky? Want to amp up your cash? The Caribbean Lottery just upped the ante on Pick 3 and Pick 4. Add the Mega Ball for just $1 and see your winnings skyrocket. With Pick 3, that lucky match with Mega Ball could mean up to $300 more in your pocket. Hit the Pick 4 winning numbers with Mega Ball and you're walking away with up to $2,500 extra. It's that easy. Pick 3, Pick 4, Mega Ball 2. That's the Caribbean Lottery way for me and you. This is a limited time offer only on the first prize draw with Mega Ball. Available at Caribbean Lottery retailers island-wide. Must be 21 or older to play.
Let's stop child sexual abuse. The age of consent is 16, yet our 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10-year-olds are becoming victims of sexual abuse and exploitation, which is being forced into sexual activity before they are old enough to decide. This causes mental, emotional, and physical harm to our children. Parents, it is your responsibility to protect and to educate your children. Develop a relationship of trust with your child. If they trust you, they will tell you. Child sexual abuse cannot be our norm. We must work together to correct this. Help us prevent, help us protect, help us prosecute. A message by the Department of Probation and Child Protection Services. Contact us at 467-1311 or 662-6833 for more information.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on WINN Media 98.9.
And we're back on Island Tea. There was one paragraph, Quint, I didn't get to of this same article that I was reading about the Antigua and Barbuda government to the Cuban brigade. It says now, according to the government sources, this approach has been communicated to the U.S. government officials, and the government of Antigua and Barbuda awaits the U.S. government's response.
You know, I kind of have a bit of a problem with that. I think that you're sort of a pandering to the U.S. government. I don't mind you making your decision, but remember we're supposed to, we as a people say we want the region to move together.
Yeah.
So if you're going to make this response, send it to the others and send it as a unified stuff. But it's like somebody doing something underhanded, and you're going
Trying
behind
to outwit the other
everybody's back.
countries,
Yeah, and I have a serious problem with that.
Yeah, this doesn't sound good. But I remember I said Minister Brown was the only one I didn't hear a response, but his response was similar to all of the other Caribbean governments in terms of the visa being on the list. He said no list was communicated to him, and as everyone was saying, they have their embassies looking into it and speaking with the relevant authorities in the U.S. So,
Yeah, but I'm going to revisit that last paragraph there because that is absolutely horrible in my opinion.
yeah, I'm like, what?
That
What are
is
we saying
just
here?
absolutely, that is what we don't want.
Yeah.
That is what they want. That is, they want to see. You see, he started the seed of showing that there is disunity. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't expect that.
But
That one kind of hit me.
it as you said, we're CARICOM, we're OECS, we should have one voice. We try not to keep each other down, but
Yeah, and that is the problem why neocolonialism has worked. After they said that we were free,
we weren't really free.
they put certain things in place, and for us as individuals to survive, we felt that it was better to run back behind and rat on each other. And that is kind of what you're doing. I mean, I don't have a problem with what you did in terms of, changing how you were
Pay
dealing
them,
with,
yeah,
but then when you're
remunerate
gonna
them,
when you're gonna go and send something out and you're waiting a response from the Trump administration, a response that you took on yourself on your own to do. I mean, come on, that.
But you see, we know what he's doing. What is everybody else doing? We heard Ralph say, no way, take your visa if you need to. Mia even stepped in and she says she has no Cuban personnel at the time.
As far as I've heard,
So
they have to date, that is what my understanding is, they have to date sent a unified response to the U.S. That is what I've heard.
Okay.
So this is why this underhanded move by the Antigua-Barbuda leader is just, in my opinion, horrible. If you're moving as a unified body, move as a unified body. We should never see anyone as an individual territory going and trying to appease the United States system. No. If you're gonna try to accommodate the system, do it as a unified body. If you're gonna stand against the system, do it as a unified body.
Indeed.
Yeah.
All right. To each, let me tell you, to each his own. Everybody's gonna try to protect what they need to protect. It is about 8:30. We are expecting the Forestry Department.
Yeah.
As it is. The topic will be World Forestry Day and the importance that forest plays in our ecosystem and in our lives. Listen, I did not know that the secret ingredient for, as we say, saucyparilla or sarsaparilla comes from the forest. I was today years old when I learned that. I didn't know that.
It comes from a particular tree, I think, but I'm not sure what kind of tree. But that wouldn't be a surprise to me, really. I see we have a caller. Hello?
Caller, good morning. You're live on Island T.
Yes, it's me again. Quint, I didn't catch the program from the beginning. Can you please tell me what the Antiguan government said and that have you so ticked off? I'm going to listen to you after here.
Cortensia, could you repeat that?
I'm going to read that part. Okay, so I'm going to start from... Okay. Let me read. I'm looking for... Okay, so nevertheless, the cabinet has made the decision to pay the Cuban Medical Brigade, that's the cabinet of Antigua and Barbuda, to pay the Cuban Medical Brigade of doctors and nurses 100% of the contractual amount, and to have each doctor and nurse receive the entire payment from the Antigua and Barbuda government. Statutory deductions will also be made from each pay package as it is done for every worker in Antigua and Barbuda. According to government sources, this approach has been communicated to the U.S. government officials, and the government of Antigua and Barbuda awaits the U.S. government response. So apparently before, it seems that as I said, what Minister Gonzalez made reference to, that something had to go back in the kitty because you got a free education. That seemed to have been the contract. It even says... the government has made a decision to restructure the payment system involving members of the Cuban Medical Brigade, whose present provided substantial support for the local healthcare system. The decision came in response to the threat by the Trump administration to declare the Cuban medical brigade as equivalent to human trafficking. The Antigua and Barbuda government reiterates that its payment method and the contractual arrangements which the government of Cuba and Antigua and Barbuda have entered into do not support this view.
Yeah, and my problem with it is that this was done individually as an individual country. That is my problem, that you make a decision and then you send something off to the U.S. cabinet or whoever, and it has not been reasoned out with the other leaders and as a combined unit sent to the United. As a matter of fact, I don't even feel that once we know that we're doing what we should be doing, that we need to appease the United States government. You understand? I think that as long as we know that what we are doing in relation to the Cuban workers, the doctors, is above board, we do not have to send anything to the United States government to please them as to how you're doing it. Because then what happens in the future when they demand that you tell them about every aspect or every move that you make? You understand? So we can't afford to do that. You know, we cannot afford to do that. I don't have a problem with your restructuring your format. I have a problem with the fact that after having done it, you sent off something to the U.S. government unknown to the other leaders, and you're waiting. That's the thing, you know. We're waiting a response. You know?
Yeah, I'm seeing a next article here, and it says Finance Minister of Grenada, will give up U.S. visa and stand behind Cuba. Finance Minister Dennis Cornwall said that he and others in government are willing to give up their U.S. visa in support of the people of Cuba. As a former graduate of a Cuban university, he has a moral obligation, and as a government minister, he believes that Cuban doctors and nurses in Grenada's healthcare system are providing irreplaceable service.
Yeah.
Caller, good morning. You're live on Allenty.
Turn down your radio if you have it.
Good morning, Quinn. Good morning, Potencia. How are you guys doing?
Good,
Well,
thanks.
fine.
Morning.
Yeah.
Wonderful discussion as usual.
Thank you.
I agree with what you're saying, Q.
Yeah.
That two things. One, the individualism, Antigua and Barbuda, in forming the U.S. as opposed to part of a united front.
Yeah. Yes.
Because it's easier to divide and conquer, divide and rule.
That's it.
Yep.
And once you start communicating individually with the U.S., obviously they're going to communicate individually with you.
Yes.
So it should have been a position where all the countries send a document signed by all of them, in my view, saying, hey, this is the position.
Yeah, and I concur. Yeah.
The second thing, I agree with you fully, informing the U.S. and waiting for a response.
You know?
That is basically saying, well, we asking the permission,
Yeah.
for want of a better expression.
You put yourself at their mercy, you know?
Exactly.
Come on.
That I agree with you 100%. Now, I recall the discussion we had a few weeks ago with Putin saying that he invaded Ukraine because of humanitarian something and ethnic cleansing and whatever the reasons were to justify the war. The thing about these leaders, once they do something, they have to come up with something to give justification to what they are doing, what they have done. This thing about human trafficking, Quint, that's the most, well, the words I want to use, I can't say it on the ear.
Yeah, don't use them on the air.
The most garbage I've heard. Oh, this thing with Cuba, it's not about that. It's about way back when the Bay of Pigs and whatever, and the fact that for decades, the U.S. trying to squeeze and stifle, and they're holding Cuba by the jugular, so to speak. However, they are surviving, they are thriving, and they are helping other countries, which the U.S. are not doing. Well, I shouldn't say that. The U.S. had a system with this Peace Corps program.
Yeah.
I don't think it's in existence now.
Yeah.
But that is somewhat similar to what the Cubans are doing now.
But listen to this part. Listen to this part of this article that I just started reading, and it says, while contributing to the 2025 budget debate last week, Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Andal, who is also a Cuban graduate, said that Grenada not only has a legal, moral, and ethical obligation to stand by the people of Cuba, but the country should avoid being opportunistic or transactional as it pertains to the relations between both countries. How about that?
Yeah, and that goes right back to Antigua, because I feel Antigua and Barbuda, they are trying to be opportunistic. You know, they're trying to. This is, in my opinion, is completely underhanded.
I don't agree with it, and like I said, once a leader of a country, especially a mighty country like the U.S., they take a particular action, they have to come up with a reason to try and justify it.
Yeah.
And that's what Trump is doing. We're talking about, we're taking this stance because of human trafficking or humanitarian exploitation or whatever garbage he's actually saying. That's my humble view.
Yeah.
Excellent program. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thanks.
But I feel too, Quint, it's a way to keep the Cubans down, because if we send all of them back to Cuba, then what are they making to send for their families?
Yeah.
So it's a way to you're saying humanitarian, like you care for the Cubans when you really don't.
You
'Cause
don't.
look, you put something on them again. So you're hoping we would say, everybody go home.
But look, the United States of America also benefits from the Cuban doctors.
I'm sure they have some Cuban doctors in their system.
During the Bush administration, right, the United States tried to garner all of the Cuban doctors to come to the U.S. to give their services to the U.S. and leave out the Caribbean. You see how selfish these superpowers tend to be?
All the time. The best
You
for
understand?
them. The best for them.
And another thing, too, is you see how we as a Caribbean people shoot ourselves in the foot? We were going along so nicely with the different individuals saying we are not going to, acquiesce and blah, blah, blah. And then you had a unified response. And then here is one individual now who's going to go off on his own and send a communique to the United States and is waiting a response.
Yeah.
You see how we undermine our own selves? And this is why we have remained in servitude for over 400 years. Hello?
Caller, good morning. Well, the article that I
Let's
just
try
read,
it.
the last part of it, it was from Grenada Now by Linda Straker. So I like that the Cuban ministers that benefited from studies in Cuba, they're putting their foot down and standing up for something and not falling for anything.
And there's another side to it, too. The Cuban government needs some way of survival. We got to be realistic. You know what the Cubans... I've seen pictures of Cuba. I've seen roads and, and cities and different... And you see how it looks abandoned, the wear and tear, I mean... And I'm thinking to myself, wow, and you see people going about their business as usual, and I'm saying to myself, it takes a hell of a strong people to be able to live in that environment and survive. And to see that the U.S. has no empathy at all for that. And citizens of the same Cuba migrate and are trying to destroy their own homeland.
But look at the next part of this article. We have a caller?
Yeah.
Caller, good morning. You're live on Island T.
Good morning, guys.
How are you doing?
I'm good. The cracks are appearing already.
Yeah.
Okay. As simple as that.
Oh, and the article, for those of you who want to read it, including Mr. McMahon, it's on Point FM, okay?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. McMahon.
And it's so unfortunate, because
so unfortunate.
all you need is a crack.
Yes.
Once you have a crack, that's it.
That's it.
They're supposed to have a meeting in Jamaica on Wednesday.
Yeah.
With Rubio.
Yeah.
Right. And it's going to be interesting to see exactly what comes out of it.
Yeah.
I don't see that the leaders who've made remarks about the issue, public remarks about the issue, basically saying on principle they're not doing it.
Yes.
They're not going to fold. I don't see them backing down from that. Yeah. Otherwise, they look weak and opportunistic.
I agree.
So I don't think that would happen. But if Rubio decides to up the ante, if he decides to put even more pressure on and start to essentially threaten the lives and livelihoods of people in the Caribbean, whether in terms of insisting that the Cubans leave, or starting to put sanctions on our tourism, or something like that, okay? Then the leaders might have to eat humble pie, okay?
And when you say eat humble pie, you're saying then the leaders will have to fold and say, well, we're not going to employ the Cuban doctors.
Well, before that, they probably have some hard negotiating to do, and try to say, okay, let's take Antigua's position, right? They should not have done it individually, yes, but that is how they see the way out, and maybe they would have to do something like that, or negotiate some stoppage of the relation, well, reducing the ties with Venezuela and Cuba in some other way. Less support at the United Nations, for instance. Negotiate that first.
Yeah.
So if it's better than nothing. All right. It is, in a sense, caving to the U.S., but at least it's not as it's less. Put it this way: it's more palatable to do that way, rather than to just cave from the start and say, well, the U.S. wants this, so we have to give them this. Right? So they have that option, right? Because in the fire analysis, if it really comes down to the U.S. basically insisting that this happens, what choice really do they have?
What choice? Even though I hear what you're saying, and to some extent I agree with what you're saying, I still have a problem with it, because my problem with it is that there seems to be a suggestion that as long as there is pressure imposed upon us, that we must acquiesce because we have no choice. Well, there's a saying, there are always choices, but there are consequences to the choices. Sometimes and somewhere along the way, our leaders might have to make serious choices and bear the consequences.
No. But remember what I said at the beginning, right? If the choice is, right, you acquiesce or we kill your economy, do you really think that's a choice?
Well, do we think? I think that perhaps we're not affording the U.S. any leeway in terms of having some semblance of empathy, right? I think that somewhere along the way, if you have some semblance of human in you, of humanness in you, you would know. Well, I'm hoping at least,
Grant, the U.S. foreign policy is not based on empathy.
I agree with you. I agree with you, but I am saying, because the rest of the world is watching too, The rest of the world is watching, and the rest of the United States is not going to always be in the position that it is in. It doesn't matter how long it takes. And if they ever reach in a compromising position, looking back at the histories of how they deal with people, no one is going to have empathy for them when their turn comes around, What goes around comes around.
That is true. That is true. But it's clear that Trump et al., they intend to keep the U.S. in the position that they're in for as long as they could, right? And the fact is, they are right now the most powerful nation on earth, and they have to be dealt with. You have to recognize that and adjust to suit, right? And something else that might be at play here. I used to think that Trump may temper what he does because he has an eye on the Nobel Peace Prize. If he ends that war in Ukraine, it might be a feather in his cap, so to speak, towards that. But at the same time, when you look at the Gaza policy, right, from what it appears, it looks like Israel is going to actually practice genocide on those people.
Yes, I'm glad
right?
you made that
and if
point.
that is the case, then no Nobel Peace Prize there for sure. Okay, because that would be a blemish on not just Trump, but the U.S. and Israel history.
Well, Trump actually gave them indirectly the get-go to do that, when he made the statement that he did. From the moment Trump made that statement, you see how happy they were, and they all agreed with his statement. And I knew it was just a matter of time that this was going to happen.
But it's not the first time he's made those outlandish remarks. Remember he said he would just let Putin do what he likes with Europe.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I think that should have been a wake-up call for Europe. But there's another thing that might be at play here with this Cuban medical assistance thing, and why Antigua went out front and tried to negotiate with the United States by itself. And why in our instance, Prime Minister Jew basically was non-committal in the sense that he didn't come out stridently saying that, well, go ahead and take away the visa thing and take away the visit privileges. We're standing on principle. Didn't say that. Just basically said, we're friends with you and we're friends with your enemy. We're friends with you and you're with the U.S. and you're friends with Cuba.
Yeah.
And basically, that's not taking a stand on this particular issue. Okay. But what may be at play? The U.S. is supposed to open some new embassies. I don't know if that's still in the works, or Doge and Elon Musk and Trump decide we're cutting back, so we're cutting back on that as well.
Yeah.
But they were talk of opening some new embassies in the area, and it's possible there was one in Antigua already a long time ago. It is possible that the Antigua government is positioning itself to be a leading contender for that.
Yeah.
Okay. There was talk of think it's being a possible thing as well.
So as you stated, there's the crack, and perhaps I mean, but this is this just makes me feel, like as a people,
sell out each other.
Yeah,
straight.
But that's what it is.
Straight.
That's what it is, and we've been plagued with this from ever since.
Ever since.
That's why the federation collapsed. Okay. That's why we can't make more progress on integration in the region.
Yes.
Right. When it comes down to the crunch, people fold, stick together.
Yeah. Somebody had said if we were to have a federation again, they would vote for Miss Motley to lead it. Mm-hmm. I too would vote for her to lead it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that to me, that's neither here nor there.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you're saying, if it wasn't Motley, you wouldn't vote, you wouldn't like the federation?
I'm saying if there was a federation and me as the head, I'm voting for her. And the person said they'll do the same thing.
I think what she's saying indirectly is because the way how Mayor Motley speaks up boldly on issues, so I don't think she's saying anything.
Nah, I'm
otherwise.
voting for her, Mr. McMahon. I want her to
Yeah,
lead the
okay,
federation.
fine.
Yeah.
And sure, yes, I mean, she does a lot of the characteristics of a good leader.
Yeah.
Yes. Very outspoken, very intelligent. She has a vision and she tries to get things done.
Mr. McMahon, she seems more manly than the men.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Let's be honest.
Yeah. But you see, they will always tell you. The men will always tell you. I have my constituency at home to deal with. When I finish with these regional meetings and make these high flowery speeches and so on, I got to go back home and face an electorate that are demanding that I deal with, I fix local issues. Okay?
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult. It's very difficult for any leader right now to stand out among the pack, from the pack. But Motley seemed to be she certainly grabs the most attention. Put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, even more so than some of the long-standing ones like Gonzalez and so on.
Yeah.
But I really hope that they would have stuck together. And like I said, it still comes down to competition. It seems like there's some kind of competition going on, and that really is unfortunate. They should have met. Even if it's just the OECS, an OECS position, they should have met and decided that this is the position the OECS is having, rather than even at this level, they're going to individualism.
Yeah.
But like I said, that may be one of the reasons why that is happening. And so it's going to be interesting to see the results of that meeting on Wednesday, and if there are further statements by Antigua and St. Kitts and the others with regards to this.
Yeah.
Mr. McMahon, I have one thing I want to touch on with you. I was not aware that Grenada had E2 visas, and I know Grenada has had a long-standing relationship with the U.S., right? Because we know there was an embassy there, which opened just a year after they had the invasion, where Mr. Bishop lost his life. And then we know that embassy closed in 1994 because we heard Mr. Clinton said it's not feasible to support anymore. Let's just put everything in one central hub, which was Barbados, right?
Right.
So do you think that's the reason why Grenada isn't on the list? Because Grenada is one of the 5 OECS countries that has the Citizen by Investment program. I even did a little research and I found that one of the companies that does that program is American. So I was wondering if it's because America has a vested interest in Grenada, if that's why they are not on the list, because we heard that it may be the CBI program why the other 4 OECS countries are on that list.
Right. That's one of that's a possible reason, because that's a big attraction. You know, that EV2 thing, where because it offers even more access to the United States. You know, and I'm sure that passport people looking for second passports, that's a big deal for them, right? How that plays with the U.S. golden passport thing, though, that Trump announced, might be a kind of ticklish. But as it stands now, yes. And maybe they can't just, they weren't thinking. And by the way, remember that list was still up in the air.
Yes.
It just seems as if they were thinking about it, and changes could be made. Okay. But certainly it would seem as if somebody saw that this was there, and that might have implications. I mean, you might have to do one before the other. I mean, abandon or discontinue the EV2 program with Grenada before you put them on a list of restricted thing, you know. So yeah, that is quite possible that I was thinking more in terms of the fact that Grenada has a more transparent CBI, the most transparent, you can say.
Okay.
Because they publish all their data.
Everything, yeah.
Yeah, everybody can see it and so on. So it's very open and transparent.
And maybe that is to maintain the integrity that they have with the U.S. as it pertains to the E2 visa as well.
Well, yeah, true. That's true. Yeah, that might have been that could well have been a requirement for that. So yeah, you're right. You know,
Okay, let's take a bit of a commercial break.
All right then.
Okay.
Thank you for your contribution.
Found the sound 98.9 WINN FM.
You ever hear earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might broke up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take care yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, don't want to run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with WINN FM.
Babe, we can get up to 100% financing on a land loan with CIBC Caribbean.
Really? No down payment?
With 15 years to repay, it's so affordable.
Now we can finally move forward with the land we love.
Get up to 100% financing, half off the loan application fee, and up to 15 years to repay a land loan. Plus, CIBC Caribbean will give you $675 towards your valuation fees. Promotion ends March 31, 2025. Terms and conditions apply. Visit CIBCFCIB.com for more information.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9.
Can I have to read this article because I'm like somebody pinched me, right? And this article is from Now Grenada and it's written by Linda Strick. I read parts of it, but I have to read it because I think this article is very good. It says, Finance Minister Dennis Cornwall said that he and others in government are willing to give up their U.S. visas in support of the people of Cuba. As a former graduate of a Cuban university, he has a moral obligation, and as a government minister, he believes that the Cuban doctors and nurses in Grenada's healthcare system are providing irreplaceable service. He said, and quote, I always believe you have to put the people above one's political self. And in that sense, I believe that my government has already cited that we are prepared to go to the extreme to make sure to keep our people safe, Cornwall said, as a guest of the weekly Wednesday Government Hour on the Grenada Broadcasting Network, GBN. He goes on to say, so if it means that we have to give up our visa right to the U.S. to make sure that Grenada stands behind Cuba as one of the countries that support Grenada in thick and thin, so be it. He continues on, I am personally one of the persons who graduated from Cuba, and as such, I have a moral obligation to support the Cubans in every way. So if it means that the government of the U.S. has to take away our visas because we support the Cuban initiative, so be it. He told the host, who asked about government's reaction to the recent announcement that the Donald Trump administration is expanding an existing Cuba-related visa restriction policy that targets forced labor linked to the Cuban labor export program. This expanded policy applies to current or former government officials and other individuals, including foreign government officials who are believed to be responsible for or involved in the Cuban labor export program, particularly Cuba's overseas medical mission, said the announcement posted on the U.S. State Department website. Cornwall said that wrapping up the Cuban medical mission in Grenada will result in significant harm to the country's healthcare system. The Cuban doctors and nurses who have visited our shores over the years have performed a valuable service to our people. He said, and quote, "We complain every day that the service in the hospital is bad. But we have people who have graduated from the St. George's University and they are Grenadians and they are not here to fully support the health system. So if we can depend on the Cuban graduates to help in the system until we can fix it to a point, I say, so be it." Cornwall is a member of parliament for the northern constituency of St. Patrick East. "I fully support the Cubans at any time, anywhere, because I think they are doing a very useful and yeoman service to the government and people of Grenada," he said. And as I read the last part earlier, while contributing to the 2025 budget debate last week, Foreign Affairs Minister Joseph Andal, who is also a Cuban graduate, said that Grenada not only has a legal, moral, and ethical obligation to stand by the people of Cuba, but the country should avoid being opportunistic or transactional as it pertains to the relations between both countries.
Yeah. And that
This is a very good article.
That tells me that, as I've always said, as a matter of principle, sometimes you just have to make a stance. And there's another side to this too, because we can say the United States is a superpower and they can do what they want and we have to acquiesce. But depending on how the United States deals with a lot of issues, the rest of the world is going to see the United States as a bully. That, oh yes, you're a superpower, but you use your power just as a bully.
Yeah.
You have no empathy, or you're not rational in the way you implement things. You're just a downright bully. You understand? And over time, this is going to have an impact on the U.S. and its relation with others.
But I'm sure if we search the U.S., we can find Cuban doctors somewhere, although they've been naturalized.
Yes. Well,
I don't understand what's a big deal all of a sudden.
During the pandemic, Cuban doctors helped in the United States of America.
Cuban doctors helped all over Italy and all that.
All
That's what I'm
over
saying.
the world.
They're not telling these big countries to don't allow them, or else we won't. Your Estes or your visas won't be
We
put
have a
through.
caller.
Caller, good morning. You're live in L&T.
Yes, good morning. Good morning to you guys. Very good article there that you just read.
Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. The U.S. foreign policy is, let me slap you up right now today, and then come back tomorrow and give you $20 and say, let's patch that up.
Yeah.
That's the U.S. foreign policy in a nutshell.
Yeah, the bully
This thing with
policy.
Cuba, yeah, definitely. They're not going to let up off this thing with Cuba. Like I said before, the Caribbean islands need to stand up. Our leaders got to realize that the people of the region are asking them to stand up to America on this Cuban issue. And in my humble opinion, if our leaders don't get it together, then McMahon's theory of replacing and keep replacing might have to expand, at least OECSY. For one time, our leaders got to do what the electorates in these islands are asking them to do. You know, Cuba has been providing a great service to the region and the wider world. Don't forget, it's not just the Caribbean alone. Cuba sent doctors and nurses to over the years. And there's a meeting coming up with Marco Rubio. You guys said, right?
Yeah.
Well, we haven't heard that the leaders of the region met yet. We haven't heard that they met together yet. They cannot expect that this stuff is going to get pushed under the rug. The U.S. is not going to stop with this stuff anytime soon. Let's see what Donald Trump's agenda is. This man is not playing. This stuff is not a joke. You see how simple and easy we lost that visa-free status to Canada? Our leaders back then didn't care about the common man. But if this stuff goes as far as America implementing this on our leaders, let's see how they're going to feel when their visas are restricted and taken away, and they won't be able to travel to the United States. Let's see how they're going to feel then. They need to put themselves in our shoes when we lost our free travel to Canada. But anyway, we watch this thing dance out. It's not going to go nowhere. This stuff is not going to go away no time soon. So the Caribbean leaders, they need to get themselves together and get a plan. And they have to talk amongst themselves before they go and meet Marco Rubio. Because if they go and meet this man and they don't have their stories together, they're going to get picked off one by one. But I wish the region the best. I wish the people of St. Nevis and the wider Caribbean the best. But we are definitely in danger. And sanctions and tariffs can be imposed on us. And the U.S. can also stop them food boats from shipping out from Miami. And if we don't get ourselves up to speed with agriculture, we're going to stay in our tiny space and starve to death. We got to get ourselves up to speed and be self-sufficient in agriculture and providing food for ourselves. If we're independent, we need to act as such. And one question I want to ask you, Quinn, before I go, for you to meditate on. Why the Caribbean islands just all go independent and park themselves up there at independent status for 40, 50, 60 years and never decide to take that next step to take themselves republic? You meditate on that one.
Well, I don't have to. I don't have to meditate on that, because that is a question that should be posed not to me for me to meditate on, but to the leaders.
To the leaders of the region, yes. Yeah, to the leaders. Yes, yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So that's something I always ask myself. Why we keep goals? It's all good that you say you're a politician and you're the leader of an island, but what really are your goals for the country? Let me ask my Prime Minister, what goals do you have for St. Nevis? Where do you want us to St. Nevis in 10, 20 years? And that's the big question for me, man. I always ask myself, why we just park ourselves up as independent status and do not take the next step to go republic. Thanks a lot, man. You guys have a good day and enjoy the weekend.
Yeah.
Thanks for your contribution as well.
Yeah, let's take a bit of a break and we'll be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WINN FM.
More than 42 million cars from 19 different car companies are being recalled for faulty airbag inflators. Repairs are fast, easy, and free. The problem isn't with the airbag, it's with the airbag inflator. Because the inflator can rupture, shooting shrapnel through the airbag, which can cause serious injury or even death. Don't risk it, fix it.
Please contact TDC Automotive Division to find out if your Toyota vehicle is affected by the Takata airbag recall. Visit or call us at 465-2511 in St. Kitts or 469-5430 in Nevis.
If you live in low-lying areas, be aware of the possibility of tsunamis immediately after an earthquake. A strong earthquake lasting 20 seconds or more is a natural tsunami warning. Do not wait for an official warning. Gather your family members and evacuate immediately after the shaking stops. Don't delay. A tsunami could occur within minutes.
This message is sponsored by the Australian Government, AusAid, and produced by NEMA in collaboration with WINN FM.
Want to earn your degree from a U.S. university? Qualifying Caribbean residents can study 100% online at DeVry University with 50% tuition savings and a waived application fee. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Restrictions apply. Visit partner.devry.edu/Caribbean today.
Let's get real on WINN FM. Hi, this is Lavi. Let's get real Wednesday nights at 8 on WINN FM. Get ready for an hour of real talk that will keep you engaged and informed, bringing you insights, the hottest topics of the moment, and perspectives that matter from the runway to the political arena. Real talk with Lavi covers all. Let's get real Wednesday nights at 8 on WINN FM.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9.
And we're back on Island Tea. We do apologize for the interview that we announced. That would have been at 8:30. It won't happen again today. Maybe it will happen in the future. Okay. All right.
Wait. We're going to have to take another
a short break, and we'll be right back.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
No, not there. Yeah. You are the person for the forestry? Yeah, I'm going. I'm telling him.
You upset?
I would just say no. I would just say going forward, everything will be right. That's the best way. I apologize. No, I mean my request and everything.
Let's get going. Let's forget about that. Yeah. When you finish, you can come and we can finish the discussion. All right?
All right, no problem.
Yeah, sorry.
Can I have your name, kind sir?
Shervern Gardner.
Oh, you're Mr. Gardner.
Yep.
Tune in to Creative Voices, the ultimate radio call-in program where innovation meets inspiration. Join me, Dr. Sarah Owen, as I welcome brilliant Caribbean creatives and innovators for engaging sessions that promise to spark your creativity. Don't miss this unique opportunity to interact with our guests, ask your burning questions, and gain insights that could elevate your own creative endeavors. Tune in every other Friday from 10 a.m. to midday. Get inspired. Let your voice be heard. Mark your calendars and prepare to embark on a journey of creativity and innovation with Creative Voices.
For me, but we spoke differently for Dr. Brown. So this is correct, but we had a misunderstanding with Dr. Brown.
So which one you were the
DOE for the single-use plastic.
You are the plastic.
We're not forestry.
Okay.
But
because I saw the 25th too.
For the what?
Okay, go ahead. We'll talk
Let
about that.
TDC Financial Services help you go for your goals. Whether you're thinking of taking that grand vacation, down payment on a house, higher education, TDC Financial Services has various plans that will allow you to go for your goals. Choose from the Accumulator Plus, Investment Starter Plan, and Fixed Deposit. Ready to go for your goals? Visit us at TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Okay, all right, no problem. All right.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea, only on WINN Media 98.9.
And we're back on Island Tea, and I humbly apologize. I know I made an apology about the interview not happening, but the interview will happen. We do have Mr. Shervin Gardner in the studio with us this morning, so we will welcome Mr. Gardner to Island Tea.
Morning, all.
And it's our pleasure having you.
Thanks for having me. Morning, all.
Our pleasure. So let us dive right into it. Firstly, I must say, how are you doing? So let's talk.
I'm well, and I hope everyone here is doing well also. And out in radio world, I hope you're having a lovely morning.
All right.
So, hi out there. A lovely morning to Radio World and all the listeners.
And let us dive right into it. And we know our topic this morning is the single-use plastic. We're going to miss those plastic bags, but let's talk about the plastic bag and its ban.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to miss them. I think we're going to make a smooth transition towards sustainability. And the single-use plastic ban, it's been kind of a taboo topic for most, but I would like persons to know this is a positive initiative. It is riddled with benefits, and basically, some years from now, we will understand and be very appreciative to this plastic ban. But let's talk about the timeline. So the Federation of St. Kitts and Government is banning or has banned several selected single-use plastic items. What are single-use plastic items? These are plastic items that were made, designed, and manufactured to use once and to be disposed of. So just by the definition, you can tell that these are things that would have accumulated very fast in terms of waste.
Okay.
So the minister, the Honorable Dr. Joy Clark, who is very passionate about environment conservation, have noticed, I think we have also noticed that the plastic issue is at our doorsteps. There was a time when, as a small island developing state, we could have hidden, we could have avoided the impacts of single-use plastic, or plastic pollution, the growing plastic pollution, but no longer. And single-use plastic ban was initiated, a three-phase single-use plastic ban, where each phase has a two-part. There's a ban on the importation of the selected item, and then there's a ban on the sales and distribution of said item. The first phase, which commenced on December the 31st, banned T-shirt plastic bags. What are T-shirt plastic bags? These are our lovely plastic bag that we have hoarded in our homes, just lying around and convincing ourselves.
Not really. Some of us use them as garbage bags.
It's for garbage, you know. But these bags are very, very troublesome to the environment. They are a burden on the landfill or landfill. They are, in terms of disposal and plastic pollution, they are a high percentage of plastic pollution. So there was actually a strategy in choosing these items. These are high percentage items that we'll find in our landfill.
Okay.
So we'd have banned the importation of these T-shirt plastic bags on December the 31st. So no importation of these bags since December the 31st.
Okay.
And there's the imminent ban on the sale and distribution, which is going to be initiated on March the 31st. That is this month.
So after March the 31st,
there'll be no sale or distribution. There will be none of those bags being handed out at any business places in St. Kitts.
if there's a surplus of bags still left, is your department prepared to go and collect them and dispose of them correctly?
So one thing we would have in our stakeholder meetings, we would have emphasized stocking just for the 31st.
Okay.
We would have emphasized that with the stakeholders, the businesses, and they would have agreed. And we would have emphasized that we do not want a situation where there are leftover bags. All right, we want to this ban. We want to be we want it to be enforced, and we don't want any hiccups. But if there are leftover bags, that is a conversation that is being had, and persons, I will invite persons to show up, all stakeholders, that includes everyone, not just business persons, citizens, to attend. That they are invited to our stakeholder meeting that we'll be having on the 25th. You can check out the Department of Environment website over the weekend and next week, and you'll get all the information for that stakeholder meeting. So in speaking to leftovers, there will be a definite answer for that question at that stakeholder meeting.
Okay.
But I must say we haven't had any complaints about it. the stakeholders, I must say, were very, very cooperative, and this also see this initiative as a positive initiative.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So let's talk about your upcoming projects. I see there is an update on the solid waste management recycling project.
Yes. So phase 2 of the single-use plastic ban, it will initiate a month after on August the 30th, and this is where we'll have a ban on styrofoam food containers, plastic straws, and egg crates that are styrofoam.
Mr. Gardner, you know them paper straws ain't sweet.
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
I'm gonna get to that. We have a fax for that also.
Okay. All right. All right.
Yes. So food trays, and that's the importation of those items, and then 3 months after, July the 31st, there's going to be ban on the sale and distribution.
Okay.
Now the topic of the straws also always comes up, and we promote, of course, alternatives such as paper straws, but they are also stronger straws that are made from plant-based starch that are not as weak. All right. So yes, they're not just the persons. I think persons have the misconception that paper straws are the only alternative to the plastic straws.
And they're no good. No
yeah,
good.
That's not true. And we have bamboo straws. We have
the metal ones.
Metal straws, which person will say they are very dangerous for kids, and of course we understand that. And the concern that parents, this speaks to the concerned parents who would say that the child, basically they destroy the paper straw before they finish having what they're having. And we would have heard that. And to facilitate a smooth transformation, we would have looked into the exemption of certain products with plastic straws, including box drink and those products that comes as a package, basically with the straws. So box drinks and the straws and box drinks, for the time being, those are exempted from being banned.
Okay.
But any other straw, basically, those are still a part of the ban. And speaking to recycling and the recycling phase, there's another misconception that somehow we are banning plastic bottles. We are not banning plastic bottles, trust me. We would have loved to. That would have done great. That would have been great for the environment. But at the same time, we are aware of the daily lives of persons, and we do not want to cause any major disruption in that. So, for 3 years now, there would have been a recycling project that's going on in St. Kitts that is funded by the ICDF.
Yes.
And that is led in collaboration with Taiwan Technical Mission and the Department of Environment. And we encourage recycling. So as it relates to the plastic bottles, recycling. And the recycling project captured, the first phase of it captured plastic bottles, caps, metal cans, and it has been a success. We would say we have seen a change in the behavior of persons. We are now recycling. That was a thing that was taboo back then. Even if you thought about recycling, you would not have had the means to recycle, the encouragement to recycle. But now we are seeing great progress in that, and it is such that we have expanded the recycling program to a phase 2 where we are now capturing cardboard papers. And to facilitate this, there has been an expansion of the facility, the solid waste facility at Connery, to accommodate this expansion. So we are increasing our capacity to capture hazardous substances from the environment. And I think that is a pretty good initiative going forward for sustainable island state achievement.
Let me ask a question here. So, you said that you were going to discontinue egg crates.
Yeah.
So how do we store eggs?
Styrofoam egg crate. They're not only styrofoam egg crate. They're also I grew up, and I'm certain you grew up with the
Paper
paper
ones.
egg crates.
Those ones won't be affected. Just
Okay,
the
but-
styrofoam
Oh,
ones.
just the styrofoam.
The white
Okay.
ones, the yellow
So
ones.
it's specific, just the
Just
Pink
the
ones.
styrofoam.
Okay.
Green ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
And the
I was
styrofoam.
wondering how the heck am I gonna store my eggs, which are very vulnerable to yeah. So I wanted to be
Yes.
clear on that.
These are practical and actionable strategies that we're putting forward. We have this single-use plastic ban has been in the works for quite a while. Consultation
Yeah.
has been for
Been
3 years, and
trust me.
and we are the last of the OECS countries to do this.
I'm
And we
actually-
would have learned from their mistakes and try to incorporate it into making a more comprehensive and
better
feasible
product.
ban for our citizens.
Okay.
Okay, let's take a bit of a break because I understand that some others of your colleagues are here. We might have to
incorporate
them and have some seating, that kind of stuff. So let's take a bit of a break and get that.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. WINN FM.
I saw your thing said the 20.
Hey, have you heard about the water shortage in our area? Yeah, it's pretty serious. I've been trying to conserve water as much as possible. Me too. I've started taking shorter showers and turning off the faucet when I brush my teeth. That's great. Another way to save water is to fix any leaks in your house. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. How much water can a leak waste? A small leak can waste up to 20 gallons of water daily, which can really add up over time. Wow, that's a lot. And have to check for any leaks in my house. But another good tip is to only run your dishwasher and washing machine when they're full to save water and energy. I'll keep that in mind. It's important that we all do our part to conserve water, especially during this shortage. Absolutely. Every drop counts.
This message was brought to you by the St. Kitts Water Services Department. Learn more at water.gov.kn.
Rams the good food people always there to serve you. Rams the good food people locations right near you. Rams the good food people in store specials for you. Rams the good food people. Rams. When you need better service, Rams is always here. Better value, better prices. Rams is always here. We want your loyalty. Rams is always here. We are community. We are family. We are family. Rams for you and me. We are community. Rams for you and me.
Want to earn your degree from a U.S. university? Qualifying Caribbean residents can study 100% online at DeVry University with 50% tuition savings and a waived application fee. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Restrictions apply. Visit partner.devry.edu/Caribbean today.
Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on WINN Media 98.9.
And we are back on Island Tea, and I would let Mr. Gardner introduce our next guest, and he'll give you a short synopsis on what she's about to speak about.
All right, we're here with another colleague of ours for the Department of Environment, and she's here to speak on ozone conservation and ozone protection, which is a topic that ties in with single-use plastic and plastic pollution, because we have to be aware of the hazardous emission that these plastic substances cause when they are either left in the landfill or disposed of through burning, etc. So on the topic of sustainability, the ozone is also a part of the conversation. So my colleague Colleen is here to give some information on what the department has been doing as it relates to ozone protection, Montreal Protocol, and the other projects that relates to this.
Good morning, Colleen, and welcome.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for having us today. Yes, our ozone unit is basically the unit that deals with protection of the ozone layer, which is like, if you want to put it in easy terms for everyone to understand, it's like a sunscreen for the earth. It's a protection around the earth, and the same way you go out, you put sunscreen on, that does that for the earth, for us, in order to keep us from many health deficiencies and stuff that can happen if that ozone layer is broken down. So in the past, it was detected that there was what we would quote unquote say a hole in the ozone layer, and that's how we came up with all the countries came together and we had the Montreal Protocol, which has been working very well, and that hole has begun to close in, and we are having some initiatives at the Department of Environment, so that we can continue with this positive move forward with the healing of our ozone layer. So our first initiative that we are going to have, it is a Easter camp, and the theme would be Little Hands, Big Impact, Caring for Our Planet. So it's a Easter camp that we are going to be collaborating with other departments from the ministries as well as some private entities. And we are going to have our first visit would be at Nevis with the Department of Youth and also with the Department of Environment there. And it is going to be on the 9th of April. The second date, we're going to be here back in St. Kitts, and it's going to be on the 10th of April, the Department of Creative Economy. We have one on the 11th of April as well, and this would be our youth at the Youth Empowerment Department. On the 15th of April, we would be collaborating with a private school, Diligent Hands, Abakai Montessori Academy. Now, all of these camps are open for the public to register to and go to the camps, and we would be there on these days, and we would be the ones at the forefront of the camp giving some educational as well as fun activities to introduce sustainability to the children and the ozone, what the ozone unit does, what ozone is, so that it can be trickle down from adult to children, and then the process will continue of the education of what must be done and what we should be doing.
I have a question before you continue. The camps, you said you have to register. Is there a cost for the camp, and where can one register their child?
Okay, so they will be registering at these different departments. You can call the departments and they would give you the information. I know for Diligent Hands, you can, if you go on, if you Google them or you go on Facebook, there's a number and you just call that number and they would give you the information. The camps normally have a course for attending, and there are different courses based on what camp you go to.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
And we have one more event that is coming up a little later on in the year, and it's a Mother's Day awareness competition. So we are looking forward to this competition to, support our mothers and bring it out there that, without mothers are very important, and they, as people would say, it's Mother Earth. So we are there for that. And the theme for that would be nature and nurture, protect nature, nurture life. And the competition, we should be having the opening where we would post the event on our Facebook page of the Department of Environment, where you can go and get more information from the 1st of April. Okay. And this event is where you would, someone, a sibling, a child, somebody takes a picture of a mom and posts it on the site. You then follow the page and you share the post so that other persons can like the photo, and the persons with the most likes, the top 5 persons actually with the most likes, it would be 3 persons from St. Kitts and 2 persons from Nevis with the most likes would be eligible for the will be the winners of the competition, and we're going to have an event for them. We're going to hold on to it a little longer before we tell them what the event is, so that they can anticipate it. And it's going to be a zero waste event. That's what I'm going to say for now. So it's in keeping with our no plastic ban and zero waste and sustainability. So it's a zero waste event. And we would be giving out the winners on the 5th of May, and the event would be on the 9th of May, which would be the Saturday before Mother's Day.
Okay. Anything else to add before we go back over to the show?
That's it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Colleen. So, Mr. Gardner?
All right, so there we have it. We have some lovely events from the ozone unit, and you can see that the department is diligently trying to engage the community and get persons, citizens, stakeholders involved, because this is a national agenda, and we want persons to understand that it is being done for the benefit of the country, for sustainable future also, and we will love support and solidarity. All right, so that is what we're trying to do here, get everyone on board, get everyone to understand the importance of such a ban, and to participate. And Zero Waste Day, there's a international national celebrated day for zero waste. So that, as Ms. Collins said, that is something that we'll be looking to incorporate the public and schools with. And while we're here on celebrating Earth Days, we'd like to wish persons happy Forestry Day today. And the Forestry Day is basically to bring awareness to the importance of our forests and biodiversity and conservation. And I will be, I think Dr. Brown would be very disappointed if I didn't mention that and go into the theme also of World Forestry Day, which is forests and food, and speak about how important the forest is to our food. And even here in St. Kitts, where we have a rainforest, which contributes to about 90% of our rainfall in the on the island, and we know rainfall is necessary for agriculture. All right, our forestry is also vital for soil conservation and enrichment. So there are plethora of things, positive reasons why we should look to conserve our forests and pay attention to what is being done to our forests. So I hope persons take the day out to reflect on World Forestry Day and look to ways in which they can have some positive or some eco-friendly practices towards conservation of our forests. And saying that, one of the main things I like to point out is pollution in the forest, the rainforest, and in our gutways. Yesterday, while passing, I had a conversation with a friend of mine who pointed out a particular place in Sandy Point where there is a huge disturbing collection of plastic and plastic bottles. And
I hope it's not in the gut.
It's in the gut, it's in our waterways. And yes, so these type of practices, we have to do away with these type of practices. We have a recycling program going on right now. There are drop-off sites. Yes, we will improve the capacity to capture recycling items, because we are aware that there are persons who do intend to recycle or want to recycle, but they don't have the means of getting their recyclables to the drop-off site to the landfill. And there we are working to help to accommodate these persons. However, it is I think it is important for us to not use that as an example and practice eco-friendly disposal and better waste management. So that is a topic that I could not have let pass, speaking to persons about littering the forest area and our waterways, which in turn
get to the ocean and affects
Animals.
the marine life, and not only the marine life, but indirectly and directly our tourism industry. And
because nobody's going to want to go to dirty beaches.
exactly, we must remember that we are selling we're selling our resources to persons, and our resources are our beaches, our ambience, our rainforests. And I must shout out to the tourism authority, Miss Kathy Rouse, who we did a collaboration, who the department and the marine resources did a collaboration with yesterday, where we actually had volunteers from the cruise liners who came here, and they volunteered to come to help us to clean the Hermitage Beach in Keys. And we know the Hermitage Beach in Keys is a
turtle
protected area. It's a nesting ground for turtle and birds alike. So that shows our commitment across ministries and the federation. So definitely a big ups to the tourism authority for that.
Okay. One more thing before we wrap up. I see that you said you're going to go to the secondary schools and have a talk on biodiversity and the single-use plastic ban. I know there's going to be the camp where the younger ones are going to be enlightened and educated, but why is it we're not going to the grassroots to talk about the biodiversity and the single-use plastic bans with these smart kids we have nowadays?
Why we're not going to the grassroots, as in primary school?
As in all the way down to the preschool.
We did.
Oh, you did?
Yes,
oh,
incremental.
So it's a secondary school
It's a
term.
secondary school
Okay,
time.
all
So
right. Thank you for that
last
correction.
year, yes,
Okay.
trust me, the minister is very, very adamant about this. So
Okay.
last year, we would have visited preschools.
Okay.
And last year we would have visited primary schools.
Okay.
So now it is the secondary schools turn.
Okay.
And speaking about initiative and collaborating with stakeholders, I just want to give a shout out to some of the stakeholders, well, all of the stakeholders, because all of them have been very reasonable and cooperative. I'd like to point out Sir Rams and Harper's, also Kevin from the supermarket. And we've seen that they've been active in promoting sustainability. They've been active in promoting reusable bags. And I would just like to say for March 31st, the theme is carry the change, bring your own bags. So yes, carry the change, bring your own bags. Let's make this exciting. Let's not be outdone by the visitors who never forget their reusable bags when they come here. And basically, I'm a little embarrassed when I see that. Yeah. So let's not be outdone by them. They shouldn't have more pride in our environment and more love for our countries than we do. So and speaking to initiative, TDC, we have a tree planting initiative that is going to be at the camps.
Yes.
Yes, and that's in partnership with TDC. So the businesses and stakeholders, they are right on board with the mission of sustainability. So it's just up to us now to basically take that momentum and do the best we can with it.
Okay, I see your colleague was telling you something. We have to wrap up in a bit, I think about 2 minutes. So if you want to share that before we close.
Basically, she was just reminding me about that initiative. Basically, that's something that we don't want to forget, and just like to remind persons about this upcoming stakeholder meeting on single-use plastic. You can come and get all your questions answered there.
When is the meeting? What time is the meeting? Where is the meeting?
The meeting is on the 25th.
Okay.
The place, I'll wait a little on determining saying where we are going to have it, but it's going to be on the 25th. It's going to be on the 25th, and hopefully it's going to be on the 25th. But there is a stake meter. There is a stake meeting. Yeah, it's supposed to be next week.
It's going to be next
week.
Yeah,
Okay. And further details to come.
Further details to come.
Okay.
Like I said, guys, visit our social media handlers, Facebook, DOE, also the Ozone Unit. We have also Let's Recycle on Facebook. So there you'll have, we'll be posting all the vital information, definitely. And we want to encourage interaction also. Don't be afraid to comment, don't be afraid to message and ask questions if you can't show up in person, and don't be afraid to call us. All right?
All right. So there we have it. That was Mr. Sherwin Garner and Colleen from the
Department of Environment.
Department of Environment. It's time, my tongue. Thank you both for coming in and educating us. And for the stakeholders, remember the meeting is next week. That will be Tuesday the 25th. And they will share the time and the venue on their various social media handles. So stay tuned, look out. Thank you, folks, so much for coming in and enlightening us. It was indeed our pleasure. And we look forward to seeing you on future programs.
Oh, definitely. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. And this brings us to the end of today's edition of Island Tea. Thank you for tuning in. See you on Monday.
Found the sound.